there, Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video. Welcome to episode 98 of Ask Bossk's Bounty. This is the weekly series where you ask me questions in the comment section below, and I do my very best to answer them each week. So if you do have a question for next week's episode, please leave it in the comment section below, and hopefully you will be featured. Before we do get on to this week's questions, I hope you'll allow me just to quickly mention about my channel memberships. This is something that I've activated in the last couple of months. Now, I do already have Patreon, and I do have some really good supporters over at Patreon. So if you're already a Patreon supporter, I'm happy for you to stay there. This is exactly the same. It's just something that's activated on YouTube. And I just wanted to give you guys just a bit of a rundown very, very quickly about what memberships is. So essentially, to subscribe to this channel, it is absolutely free. You can watch my content for free, and I will continue to make content, and you will always get access to that content. What the memberships does is it allows you to contribute to the channel, and I have 3 tiers. So first off, the first tier is Bossk's Army, and it is basically 99p or $1, I think it is. And on that particular tier, you get loyalty badges against your name, which show up against your name when you comment, and also when you comment on the chat when I do live streams. You will also get early access to some of my videos. The next tier is Wookiee Hunter, which is $1.99, and essentially you get all of the perks that you would do for Bossk's Army. But on top of that, you will also get the members only live streams, which I do very occasionally. You get access to the private Discord server, which is awesome. So you can chat to all the other Patreons and members, and we have various channels in there for different topics, and people help each other out. It is awesome. And also you get to be on the member shoutouts at the end of each video. And finally, we have the Trandoshan Warriors, which is $4.99 a month. And for that, you get perks from all the previous levels, but you also get a Bossk's Bounty patch once you've been a member for 2 months. So there you go then, guys. That is the details for the membership. Essentially, if you want to support the channel more than you do by clicking the like button, watching the videos for as long as you possibly can, if you want to support me in another way, then that is awesome. I would say that the private Discord server is a great place to be. It really does connect the community, and yeah, it's just a great place to be. Now, with all that being said, thank you for listening to that. I was going to make a separate video to introduce channel membership, but I thought I'd just bang it on the front of this one. So thank you for indulging me. And with all that being said, let's get straight on to the first question. Justin Mills says, hey Bossk, with the wave 4 of the retro collection being rumoured to be another round of Mandalorian figures, do you think it's possible they'd release a retro of the Razor Crest, which would be more obtainable for most collectors? I've got to say, I don't think they will do that. I think the retro collection is specifically around figures. I mean, if it gets really, really popular, then possibly they'll start adding vehicles and creatures and things like that. But for me, the retro collection is really all about the card back and getting these types of figures out. But you're absolutely right. The next wave of retro collection figures is going to be Mandalorian figures from season 2, I believe. So you're going to have Bo-Katan, the Armourer, and there's a few others. I'll leave an image on the screen from Jason from Yakface, who has basically said these are the figures that are going to be coming in that wave. There are also code names for another wave after that, which we currently don't know what they are. Could they be the Book of Boba Fett? Could they be Return of the Jedi? We do not know at this point, but absolutely what we do know is that the very next wave is going to be a second wave of Mando figures. Alright then, so on to the next question. It's about Visions. There's 2 questions, and it's from South Bricks first of all, that says, what are your thoughts on Star Wars Visions? Have I watched it? In my opinion, it was okay, but anime and Star Wars don't really work. And Chris Rook says, greeting Bossk, another great video as always. Question for next week, what do you think the chances are of us getting figures from the recently released Star Wars Visions on Disney Plus streaming service? I don't know about anyone else, but I think that the first episode and the one titled The Ninth Jedi have the makings of some really awesome figures. Now, I was asked this question before the program came out. I think we'd only seen a trailer for it, and I thought maybe that the things like statues and things like that would be more suitable for this kind of show. And after watching it, the first episode, Chris, you are absolutely right. I think it's called The Duel. I was absolutely blown away by that. I absolutely loved it. There were some really cool cameos in there. You had the Trandoshan and the Death Star droid as like these warrior guys with big mini guns and things like that. It was just fantastic. The whole sort of samurai feel to that episode was amazing, and I could really see them doing figures from that now. I tell you what, that would be fantastic, and I think they would sell. I think that's answered the other question as well. I have enjoyed the series. There's some of them that I don't really care for, that I probably won't watch again, but I think out of the 8, I think there's 8, I think I really enjoyed maybe 3 or 4 of them, and I would probably go back to them and watch those ones again. Jeremy Carvalho, who is a channel member, says, "Hi Bossk, love the videos. Question for next week. Do you think the vintage collection should add characters like Saw Gerrera, Admiral Thrawn and an updated Governor Tarkin? I think they are much needed additions to the vintage collection and would sell very well. Much love to you and keep the content coming." So Saw Gerrera is like one that's very, very high on my list. I think, you know, when they're doing the other Rogue One characters like Chirrut Imwe, we need Baze Malbus, we need Saw Gerrera, we need Director Krennic, and we need Bodhi Rook. Those are the 4 that I think we're, you know, really missing from Rogue One. Admiral Thrawn, I think we'll probably see him maybe when the Ahsoka series drops in 2023, because he is rumoured to be in that show. But absolutely, yeah, I totally agree with those choices. And yeah, come on Hasbro, let's have them. Bill Polk says, "Hey Bossk, question for next week. I was pretty excited to see figures from the Droids cartoon coming out. Are there any additional figures that you would like to see from that, or any other cartoons like that one?" So when we saw the reveal for the 3 that we've got, which is C-3PO, R2-D2 and Boba Fett, I did think that those were the 3 that they would do if they were to do it at all. I think the other figures are a little bit too obscure, and also they don't have the sculpts for those figures. All 3 figures that we've had revealed are all repaints, and that tends to be the same thing that happens with many exclusives. It's just the way it is. So for them to do the other figures, they'd have to do new sculpts, which I don't think they would do, because it just wouldn't be done as an exclusive, if you know what I mean. So when it comes to the rest of the figures from the droids and the Ewoks, I think the only one really that they could do from the Ewoks is Wicket, because we do already have that figure with the green cowl from that TV show. That would be pretty cool, maybe, just to give us that one Ewok card with a coin. But possibly, maybe as like a one-off, they could do Vlix, I guess, because that is like one of the most rarest Star Wars figures ever, and maybe they could create that one as like a sort of throwback to it or something like that. That might be a good idea. George Aitken says, "With the release of the Stormtrooper 4-pack, do you think Hasbro are finally getting the idea that army building is a thing? And do you think Hasbro will release other sets?" Yes, absolutely. I think Patrick said in the live stream that that is the case. He said that the Stormtrooper 1 is just the beginning. It's not going to be the only one. And of course, we can speculate what else they could do. They could do, you know, Rebel Commandos. They could do the Rebel Fleet Trooper. They could do Scout Troopers, clones. There's like an endless thing that they could do with those, and hopefully we'll get lots more. Unkillable Kitties, that's an interesting name. Ask Boss Bounty, what Book of Boba figures do you think we'll get in the vintage collection? I hope we get a new Boba, Cad Bane if he's in it, I hope he is, and Fennec Shand. Love your work, keep going. So the 2 that you've mentioned there, they are nailed on. They were in the teaser for it at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. 2 of the code names that Jason from Yakface has on his website and that he puts on Instagram every now and then. He showed a bunch of vintage collection code names. I think there's about 17 of them, and I'm 99% sure that 2 of those are Book of Boba Fett figures, and it's just a case of when we get them. As for other characters, I don't think we're going to know, because I don't think they're going to want to spoil anything. As you say, there is a rumour of Cad Bane being in it, and that could be a good opportunity for them to get that figure out. Stephen Angel says, "Coffee or tea, and how do you like the winning drink respectively?" Well, this could lose me some subscribers, but essentially I don't drink hot drinks. They're not really for me. I prefer a nice fresh glass of water or a lemonade or a Coke or something. I'm not really into hot drinks. Charles Whitley says, question for next week, have you heard any rumours for Dark Troopers from the Mandalorian being produced in the vintage collection? Hard to believe that we don't have those yet. I think they should put them single carded and in an army builder pack. Yeah, well, I've just been talking about the army builder packs, and Dark Troopers would definitely be one for that. And let's face it, guys, we are going to be getting a Dark Trooper in the Mandalorian. There is lots of Mandalorian figures scheduled for next year, including figures from the new media, and the Dark Trooper will be one of those. I can hang my hat on it. We are definitely going to be getting a Dark Trooper in the vintage collection next year. It's just nailed on. So be looking forward to that one. David says, hi Tim, loving the channel. Hypothetical question for next week. If you spent hundreds of pounds on a HasLab Rancor and it arrived with dodgy knees like some of the Sentinels, how would you react, and what would your expectations of Hasbro be? Yeah, so this comes from the fact that I think that the Sentinel, I don't collect Marvel, so I don't really know too much about it, but I do understand that some of the Sentinels had like weak knees and he bent backwards and what have you. I think you can fix it by taking this tiny bit of plastic out and tightening up the joint. That's my understanding. However, we shouldn't have to do that. And I think I'm pretty honest with my assessment of things on this channel. When I reviewed the Tusken Raider and his hand snapped off in my hand, I didn't omit that from the video. I showed it to you guys. and we shouldn't have to do that. And often when joints are stiff or helmets are out of shape and things like that, and people in my comments say, oh, you just need to put it in boiling water, my reaction to that is we shouldn't have to do that. You know, they should come correctly. They should come how they should come, what you've paid for. And I'll always say that on my videos. In terms of my expectations of Hasbro, I guess if I got something that was completely faulty, then I would expect either a refund or a replacement, ideally a replacement. Straight out of Coruscant says, great video, mate. Question for next week. You said we will get to 300 in the vintage collection. Are you going to build an extension to your Star Wars room? I'll tell you what, I absolutely need to. I don't have any room left on my walls for new figures now. I have to put some of the old ones into storage and just put the ones that I want out. However, I am in the process of looking into like a loft conversion. I'm saving up for it. I'm getting the plans drawn up, and that will give me a bigger collection room. So I think it's every Star Wars collector's nightmare when the room that you've got becomes full to the brim. You know, what do you do? And I think everyone probably suffers from the same thing. So we're not alone. Max Rebo Collection says, question for next week. Do you think we'll ever get a Jabba's droid dungeon in the vintage collection? They could put EV99, 8D8 and a Man-O-Man as pack-in figures. That's a great idea. I would absolutely love that. I think possibly that ship has sailed because they did the whole Return of the Jedi barge, skiff and Jabba's Palace playset back in 2019. If something like that's going to come as an extension to that Jabba's Palace, then I would imagine it will come in 2023, which is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. But it's a great idea. It's a good way of getting those 3 figures out for sure. Jose Garcia says, question, do you think we will see Jango Fett flashbacks in the Book of Boba Fett? And if so, do you think we'd get a brand new sculpt Jango Fett for vintage collection? Something of the quality of the new Boba Fett. Well, that is a figure that we definitely need. I've put this one here for everyone to see. So this is the one that we currently have. So this figure could do with an update. And as for flashbacks in the Book of Boba Fett, I mean, I don't want to be one of those spoiler channels, but spoiler alert, you know, apparently the Book of Boba Fett is going to be quite flashback heavy, and he's going to be looking back to all the people that have done him wrong in his life and maybe take revenge on them. I don't know, but that's kind of what I've heard. Will it go back to a flashback as far as his dad, Jango Fett? I don't know. Who knows? But in terms of the figure, absolutely we could do with a new version of Jango Fett. Gavin Smith97 says, do you think that the new Black Series Mando build-up pack where he is covered in mud is just a quick repaint, or could it be a sign that a Mudhorn could be coming out? I think it's just a repaint. They're just getting the most out of that sculpt. I think that sculpt probably cost them a lot of money to make, and they're just making the best of it by repainting it a bunch of times and getting everyone to buy it multiple times. I think a Mudhorn in the Black Series, I personally don't think that creature was featured enough in the series to warrant it being made in the Black Series. If anything, it would be in 3 3/4 inch scale. I know they did the dewback and things like that, but that was, you know, that was in it a lot more than the Mudhorn. It's, you know, it's been in multiple different medias and what have you. So yeah, I can't really see a Mudhorn being made in the Black Series personally. 2 questions about the Premier League here. So Spiritual Jedi says, what is your favourite Premier League team? Well, my favourite team isn't in the Premier League. So when I look at the Premier League, I look at the players that I like watching. So Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, all great players. Love watching them play. So I tend to like watching Man City play. I like watching Ronaldo, but I'm not really a supporter of any of the teams. But my son, he loves those players that I just mentioned, so he kind of likes Manchester City. Owen Brown says, question for next week, who will win the Premier League? And it's probably going to be Man City or Liverpool, would be my guess. And Ryan says, do you think we'll ever get any vintage collection vehicle re-releases? For example, the V19 Torrent or Jedi Starfighter. I unfortunately missed out growing up, and now the prices are sky high. Yeah, well, I think we probably will eventually. I think we've already had the Millennium Falcon, the Slave 1 being re-released. We've had a version of the ATST kind of re-released. We've had a couple of X-Wings as well, so I don't think they'll stop there. I think if something warrants it to be re-released, you know, maybe it's featured in some other kind of new media or something like that, then they'll re-release it. You know, they're not going to waste the mould. They will get every bit of money out of it that they possibly can. And just to add on to that, if they release the Republic gunship again, or the AT-AT, for example, the Empire Strikes Back AT-AT, I'll be all over both of those. Alright then guys, thank you so much for watching. That's the end of this week's episode. As I mentioned before, if you do have a question for next week's episode, which will be episode 99, please leave your questions in the comment section below and let's keep this series going. A special thanks to my members and Patreon supporters. It means the world to me, your support, so thank you so much. Thanks for watching then guys, and we shall see you on the next one.